In a small village nestled at the foot of a majestic mountain, there lived a community of climbers. They were a spirited bunch, always eager to conquer the towering peaks that surrounded them. The mountain, known as Echo Peak, was not just a geographical feature, it was a character in their lives. It loomed large, its snow-capped summit glistening under the sun, inviting adventurers to explore its heights. The villagers often spoke of Echo Peak in hushed tones, sharing tales of its mysterious powers. They believed that the mountain had a unique ability. It could listen. It could hear the voices of climbers as they ascended its slopes, and in return, it would echo their words back to them. This phenomenon was not just a quirk of nature. It was a source of inspiration and support for those brave enough to scale its heights. One crisp morning, a group of climbers gathered at the base of Echo Peak. Among them was a young woman named Lila. She was determined to reach the summit, but she felt a mix of excitement and trepidation. Lila had always admired the mountain from afar, but today was different. Today, she would face her fears and climb. As the group began their ascent, the air was filled with laughter and chatter. The climbers encouraged one another, sharing stories of past adventures. Lila listened intently, soaking in their enthusiasm. She felt a sense of camaraderie that she had never experienced before. The mountain seemed to hum with energy, as if it were alive, ready to embrace their voices. As they climbed higher, the terrain became more challenging. Steep cliffs and rocky outcrops tested their resolve. Lila found herself lagging behind, her heart racing. Doubts crept into her mind. What if she couldn't make it? What if she let her friends down? Just then, she heard a voice echoing from above. "Keep going, Lila, you can do it!" It was her friend, Marco. His words bounced off the mountain, wrapping around her like a warm blanket. Lila took a deep breath. She felt a surge of determination. The mountain was listening. It was encouraging her. With renewed energy, Lila pushed herself forward. The group continued to share their thoughts, fears, and dreams as they climbed. Each time someone spoke, the mountain responded, amplifying their voices. It was as if Echo Peak was not just a silent observer, but an active participant in their journey. "Look at that view!" shouted Sarah, another climber. The mountain echoed her excitement, the sound reverberating through the valleys. Lila paused to take in the breathtaking scenery. The world below was a patchwork of greens and browns, dotted with the vibrant colors of wildflowers. She felt a sense of connection to everything around her. As they reached a particularly steep section, Lila struggled to find her footing. Her hands trembled and her breath quickened. She felt a wave of panic wash over her. But then she remembered the mountain. It was listening. It had heard her friend's encouragement, and it would hear her too. "Help me, Echo Peak!" she called out, her voice trembling. The mountain responded, echoing her plea. "Help me, Echo Peak!" The sound bounced back, filling her with a sense of solidarity. It was as if the mountain was saying, "I'm here. You're not alone." With a deep breath, Lila focused on the climb. She reached for the next handhold, her fingers gripping the rough rock. The mountain's echo seemed to guide her, reminding her of the strength within. She was not just climbing for herself, she was climbing for her friends, for the bond they shared. As they neared the summit, the air grew thin and the wind howled around them. The final stretch was the most daunting. Lila could see the peak, glimmering in the sunlight, but it felt so far away. Doubts crept back in. What if she couldn't make it? What if she failed? But then she heard it again. "You've got this, Lila." It was Marco's voice, echoing through the air. The mountain carried his words, wrapping them around her like a lifeline. She realized that listening was not just about hearing, it was about understanding and supporting one another. With a newfound sense of purpose, Lila pushed through the fear. She climbed with a determination, her friends' voices echoing in her mind. "You can do it! We believe in you!" The mountain listened, and in turn, it taught her the power of connection. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Lila reached the summit. She stood at the top of Echo Peak, her heart racing with exhilaration. The view was breathtaking, a panorama of valleys and mountains stretching as far as the eye could see. She felt a rush of emotions, joy, relief, and gratitude. As her friends joined her at the summit, they embraced, their laughter ringing out into the crisp air. The mountain echoed their joy, amplifying their celebration. In that moment, Lila understood the true lesson of Echo Peak. Listening was not just about hearing words, it was about being present, supporting one another, and building stronger bonds. The descent was filled with chatter and laughter. The climbers shared stories of their journey, reflecting on the challenges they had faced. Lila felt a deep sense of connection to her friends. They had listened to each other, encouraged one another, and together they had conquered the mountain. As they reached the base of Echo Peak, the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the village. The climbers gathered to share a meal, their hearts full of gratitude. Lila looked around at her friends, feeling a sense of belonging. They had not just climbed a mountain, they had forged a bond that would last a lifetime. In the days that followed, Lila often returned to the mountain. She would sit at its base, listening to the echoes of the past. Each time she heard her friends' voices, she was reminded of the strength that comes from listening. The mountain had taught her that true support comes from being present, from hearing not just the words, but the emotions behind them. The villagers began to share Lila's story. They spoke of the mountain that listened, of the lessons it imparted. Echo Peak became a symbol of connection, a reminder that listening helps build stronger bonds. The climbers continued to gather, sharing their dreams and fears, knowing that the mountain would always be there to echo their voices. As seasons changed, the village thrived. The climbers grew closer, their friendships deepening with each ascent. They learned to listen not just to the mountain, but to one another. They discovered that in the act of listening, they found strength, understanding, and love. Years passed, and Lila became a guide for new climbers. She shared her experiences, encouraging others to embrace the mountain's lessons. "Listen to the echoes," she would say. "They carry the voices of those who believe in you." Her words resonated with the climbers, inspiring them to forge their own connections. Echo Peak stood tall, a silent guardian of the village. It continued to listen, to echo the voices of those who dared to climb. The mountain became a place of refuge, a sanctuary where climbers could share their hopes and fears. It was a reminder that in a world filled with noise, the greatest gift we can give is our attention. And so the legacy of Echo Peak lived on. The mountain that listened became a beacon of support, teaching generations the importance of connection. It showed them that listening is not just an act, it is a way of being. It is a bridge that brings people together, a thread that weaves the fabric of community. In the heart of the village, a new generation of climbers emerged. They looked up at Echo Peak with wonder, eager to experience its magic. They would climb, they would share, and they would listen. And as they did, the mountain would echo their voices, reminding them that they were never alone. The story of Echo Peak became a cherished tale passed down through the years. It was a story of courage, friendship, and the power of listening. The mountain stood as a testament to the bonds that can be forged when we take the time to truly hear one another. In the end, Lila knew that the mountain had given her more than just a view from the top. It had given her a deeper understanding of what it means to be connected. It had taught her that listening helps build stronger bonds, and that in the echoes of our voices, we find the strength to climb any mountain. But the invaluable lesson of the mountain that listened, that listening, in its purest form, was a powerful act of support, a bridge that connected hearts and strengthened bonds.